So the justice's religious beliefs and his personal interpretation of the Bible are going to now prevent couples from trying to procreate. Alabama enforced a total abortion ban in June of 2022, and now Alabama accounts for nearly half of all criminal cases related to pregnancy. To be clear, you can be pro-life and also think this decision is insane and dangerous. Joining me now is Leah Litman, professor of law at the University of Michigan and co-host of the Strict Scrutiny podcast. Thanks very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. So bottom line, does this now mean that IVF is illegal in Alabama?
It certainly comes close to that, although the precise legal implications are unclear. I think one of the reasons why you have a major university announcing that they can no longer provide IVF treatment is that the reasoning in the decision strongly suggests that under the state constitution, IVF may very well be illegal. As you noted, in order to do IVF, you have to make multiple embryos and you have to keep non-implanted embryos in frozen conditions. If non-implanted embryos are children, you're not allowed to freeze children. Under IVF, you have to do genetic testing. Can you not do non-consensual genetic testing? And sometimes if an embryo is implanted and it's not healthy, then an individual will have what's called a selective reduction, an abortion. Under the state Supreme Court's interpretation of state law, the availability of IVF as we know it just isn't possible. And so, yes, this decision really jeopardizes the future of IVF.
But you bring up a really good point, which is this idea that freezing the embryos at all, right? If it's a child, then ought to be child abuse, right?
It's hard to say, and this is what is so concerning about the Alabama Supreme Court decision. When Dobbs opened the door to unsettling the law of reproductive decision-making as we know it, they invited state courts to push the boundaries further. And when you have state Supreme Courts like Alabama pushing the boundaries, we don't know how far it's going to go, and that is creating real uncertainty and reproductive rights deserts in states like Alabama.
So how does this get resolved in Alabama? You got this major university saying we're not going to do IVF anymore. I assume you're going to have a lot of other IVF clinics, et cetera, saying we're not going to take the risk. How does it get resolved?
It's not clear. In the short term, the consequences of this decision are extremely cruel. Somewhere in Alabama, there are people who were injecting themselves and paying thousands of dollars so that they could conceive via IVF. And when the University of Alabama said we can no longer do this, those people were just left in the lurch. It is possible you will see some IVF providers bringing affirmative litigation, asking for courts to provide clarity on which aspects precisely within IVF or related to IVF might violate state law. But if they don't get the clarity they need, it's possible IVF as we know it will just stop in Alabama.
Wow. All right. Professor Leah Litman, thank you very much for coming on the program. Important topic. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.